Internet scams are nothing new, and it seems that a popular option nowadays is to pretend to be law enforcement and get people scared as a result of that. An incident related to that seemed to be connected to someone buying movie tickets to see the newly released film Sound of Freedom has brought this onto my radar, and I thought I'd have a look at that and talk a bit about ways that you can identify whether someone pretending to be law enforcement is real or fake. Hello, my name is Nicholas Wansbutter. I'm a lawyer in Stratford, Ontario, Canada, and welcome to Don't Talk TV. Viewers may be aware of a film recently released. I think it just came out in theaters last week called The Sound of Freedom. It's being attacked by mainstream media, by legacy media, calling it paranoid, QAnon-related conspiracy theory film. I mean, that automatically makes it kind of interest to me of like, why is the media hating on this film so much? So just to give you a real brief synopsis of what this film is about, it's a film written and directed by Alejandro Monteverde, and it stars Jim Caviezel playing the role of Tim Ballard, who is a former Homeland Security agent who dealt with the southern border in the U.S. and focused on human trafficking type cases. After he then retired from Homeland Security and opened a thing called Operation Underground Railroad, which is an anti-sex trafficking nonprofit organization. And the film tells the story about him and his efforts to stop child trafficking and exposes how this is a global problem of very serious proportions. I saw one interview with him where he made the claim that there's an estimate of 6 to 7 million children who are slaves in these sex slavery rings that Operation Underground Railroad seems to stop. In connection with that film, I know they've been, it's very limited release, given Jim Caviezel, who's really been somewhat blacklisted since he starred in The Passion as our Lord Jesus Christ himself. And as I understand it, he's really blacklisted now after making this film. Won't get into the whys or my opinions on why is the media so out for his blood for trying to expose something evil and try to bring it to light and maybe indirectly somehow help children. I'm sure a lot of the proceeds of this film are going to Operation Underground Railroad. But to counteract the negative media onslaught, the negative media attacks, they've been trying to get people to buy tickets, and a lot of people buy tickets online. So in connection with that, I came across this tweet from White Wabbit Warrior. So he says, went to see Sound of Freedom this evening with the wife. Regardless of the naysayers, it was great. Theater is packed. Now for the weird part. I booked the tickets online through her Cineplex account. Just 13 minutes after booking, she received what, at first glance, I think he means to say appeared to be, a legitimate email leveling accusations of child sex crimes against her on bogus RCMP letterhead. I'm not calling out conspiracy for sure or anything, but this is highly suspicious. Almost like someone doesn't want people watching it. And he asks whether others have had a similar experience. And in the comments, you can see some, like the first one says, ignore, I got the same letter last year when I donated to the Freedom Convoy. Just to look here, on the tweet, he does show the emails that he got, and it shows that they got this one here at 5:47 p.m. is the fake RCMP one, right after the online ticking at 5:34. So, I mean, it may be pure coincidence. It seems a little strange, and it's interesting that another person reported a connection with supporting the Freedom Convoy. But let's take a bit of a look at this fake letter. I've zoomed in on this as much as I can. Unfortunately, it's a JPEG, not a PDF, so I'm not going to be able to highlight, but let's just look at a few things. I mean, there's so much wrong with this letter that I'm not going to be able to go over everything. One of them being the obvious grammatical errors and spelling mistakes, but just a couple quick ones here. Interpol Canada? No such thing. I mean, there is Interpol, but it doesn't have a version of Canada. It's just an international police information sharing thing. And Brigade for the Protection of Minors, go have a look for yourself on Interpol's website to see whether such a thing even exists. Another thing right off the hop looking at this, summons isn't done by way of a letter. And a judicial police officer, That's not something that exists in Canada. They're listing here Article 390-1 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as a Code of Criminal Procedure in Canada, and therefore there's no Article 390-1. And also, Canadian laws don't have articles, they have sections. And they continue on that vein here, right? They've got Article 372 of the Criminal Code. Well, there is no Article 372 of the Criminal Code. There's Section 372. So Section 372, sub 1, there is no Section 372 just on its own. 372 sub 1 is false information. Everyone commits an offense with intent to injure or alarm a person, conveys information that they know is false, or causes such information to be conveyed by letter or any other means of telecommunication. There is 372 sub 2, indecent communications, but it's nothing to do with what the letter is reporting. Indecent communications are with intent to alarm or annoy a person, make an indecent communication to that person or any other person by means of telecommunication. We go back to this letter. So they're saying 372 talks about indecent assault committed without violence or threats against the person. I mean, this is just a bunch of nonsense. Again, Article 227-23 of the Criminal Code. This one's kind of funny because Section 227 of the Criminal Code is medical assistance in dying stuff. You can see it has nothing to do with what they're talking about. I mean, so as you can see, there is no subsection 23 of 227. And then again, they're talking about 390 sub 1 of the Code of Criminal Procedure. Again, there is no such statute. And then they say you're requested to make yourself heard by email, writing your justification for them to be indicted. This is just, I mean, you can just see the formatting is all messed up here. So you can see this thing is clearly fake. I've just listed a few ways you can look at it. 1, spelling and grammar mistakes. 2, quoting or citing agencies that don't even exist. And then 3, quoting a bunch of laws that don't actually exist, which you can very quickly match up to see that they don't exist. I add a 4th to that, which is the police will never summons you to court by sending you a letter in the email. They'll come to your house and they'll arrest you. I suppose we could say number 5 is quoting statutes that don't even exist and writing things that don't even make sense, beyond even just the grammatical errors. So if you get a letter like this, you can be pretty sure that it's fake. But of course, this video isn't legal advice. You should always call a lawyer. If you have any concerns, call another lawyer or myself. My contact information is below. If you get some of this, I could, or any other lawyer could very quickly verify that this is false. Again, of course, if you have any show topics you'd like to see me cover, please leave a comment in the comment section or send an email to the email address listed below. And if you found this video at all interesting, helpful, or informative, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and following us on social media.